Phantom Liberty might have not offered the cheerful conclusion that everyone hoped for, but its 4 different endings are definitely some of the most memorable. CDPR's masterclass storytelling yet again leaving everyone contemplating the meaning of life for like 2 days straight after being done with it, which very few games out there manage, at least for me personally. So today we'll take a look at a very controversial opinion of why you should betray Songbird in the King of Pentacles ending. Because in a world where everybody's looking to get on top, you either dance to the music or be left behind. This ending offers, in my opinion, some of the best unique items, but also one of the saddest possible endings, so brace yourselves. Now, the story of Phantom Liberty kind of follows a strict structure up until the 10th mission called Firestarter. This is the pivotal moment in which you can either choose to side with Solomon Reed or with Songbird, which means betraying one or the other. Even throughout this mission, there are different sort of outcomes. So for example, on your first face-to-face meetup with Kurt Hansen, when you get to disguise yourselves as the Castle Twins, you can purposefully answer incorrectly to Kurt's questions, case in which he is going to catch on that you're not in fact the Castle Twins, and this is going to end up with both V and Alex meeting their demise much sooner than the usual. However, answering them correctly eventually will have Songbird come up into the room and she will lead V down into the second one where the neural matrix is found in. So this is where the mission structure kind of follows the same route, except that during the neural matrix phase, you have 2 possible options. And this is going to be the point where the main story will completely diverge. You can choose to either stick with Songbird and help her out, or betray her and side with Solomon Reed instead. So the option we get to explore today is the one in which we get to betray Songbird. We will get to install the icebreaker provided to us by Reed, and in the process this is also going to have a few immediate outcomes. One of which is that she immediately becomes suspicious, so she alerts Hansen upstairs, which is going to end up with Alex immediately getting eliminated. On top of that, she also gets to use her black wall powers, but the icebreaker immediately takes into effect and neutralizes some of her attacks. This will cause her to lose control and go on a full-on rampage, which will tie in with the later sections of the story, but in the meantime you do get access to a unique boss fight. So as you plan your escape from the stadium, eventually you're going to get back to the place where you left off your gun, so definitely make sure you also pick up your items back. But at the end of it, you're also going to get to fight Kurt Hansen himself. And he actually drops 3 unique items that you cannot get otherwise. So this includes his Wild Dog LMG, the Bald Eagle pistol, as well as the Fang. Now, the Wild Dog we already covered. It's one of my favorite LMGs in the entire game. It has very good damage, rate of fire is high, plus the ammo count is really high, so you can create a very good Adam Smasher or Rebecca build for it if you want to. I already covered that in a previous video. However, the synergy between Fang and Bald Eagle pistol is also very interesting, because you can start with a Fang throw into the enemy leg, and then if you shoot that leg, the Bald Eagle is going to cause that leg to explode to pieces and will also instantly bring back the knife to you. So you can create some possibly very interesting synergies between these 2 items. At the end of the mission, for those who are still wondering, you also get an important piece of info if you paid attention to the dialogue. So this is in regards to why the max tech can still spawn in Dogtown, and it mainly has to deal with the fact that they are by far the only force that can deal with cyber psychos and especially omega level threats such as Songbird herself. Even the Bargis militia does not have the necessary firepower to take down such big threats, which is why you see them appearing and eventually neutralizing her. Now this immediately opens up the next mission called the Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, and this is yet another one that presents a number of very important decisions to make right from the very beginning, because in this one you have to find out a Netrunner to help you find the location of the max tech transport and free Songbird. However, there are a number of options you can call depending on your previously completed missions. So calling Mr. Hands is not the only one. There are 4 different options with different rewards on top. So assuming you finished Cold Mirage, you can call Nyx, which is going to be the most hassle-free option. This is going to have you meet him at the Arasaka Memorial in 6 hours. He's going to give you the information. And if you choose the second dialogue option of Be Careful at the end, he can also give you a legendary self-ice. However, it's a regular self-ice, maybe upgraded once, so you're not really losing much if you don't go for this. This is only for efficiency's sake. Plus, Reed will be highly impressed with the data that he provides. Is the most specific and most professional of all the other Netrunners you can choose. So definitely a top Netrunner if we talk about Nyx. Now, if, however, you call Chang-Hoon, he's going to be the complete opposite. This is the possibility if you finish the gig called Wakako's Favorite. So this is going to have him also hack into the max stack and try to get the information. However, he's almost getting caught, and even to the point that he almost gets short-circuited before he does break off with the information needed. However, you don't really get any other reward on top, plus he also gets to suffer from aphasia at the end of it. And you kind of have to help him escape with the Aldecaldos, otherwise he's gonna get caught by the max stack Netrunners. Another option is to call Carol. This is especially if you finished enough of Panem's side story, so eventually you can call her, but she will refuse. However, she will provide you 2 possible rewards depending which one you want. So you can choose either quick hack or going with an iron. So if you pick the quick hack, she's going to give you one either of purple or legendary quality, and also depending on your level, and it can be any of the existing quick hacks, so it doesn't really matter. If you go with the iron, coincidentally, you don't even get a gun, but what you get is a Sandavistan. In this case, every single occasion, it gave me a Militech Falcon, which you can totally take it if you didn't already. It's one of the best in the entire game. And finally, there's also the option to pick Sandra Dorsett if you also helped her during full disclosure and finished it off with the intelligence dialogue option. However, I did not get that one, but I hear it's very interesting and you get to actually hack an actual max stack operative. However, in my personal experience, the best route is to go with Mr. Hands and also pay his 15k Addis fee. This is going to eventually bring you to Yoko, which is going to also open up some other possible options with bigger rewards later down the line. So once she gives you the items, she has a first proposition to you, which is to send her the coordinates to where you're going to do that max stack ambush. You will definitely want to accept that, and in the later stages of the mission, when you get to plan your attack with the 6th Street gang, you're going to have this opportunity to send Mr. Hands the coordinates to this location, which is going to ensure that you will get the reward after you finish the entire main story of Phantom Liberty. So once you're done with the main story, you're going to get a call from Mr. Hands a few days later, and he's going to thank you for the info, plus provide you a reward back at your apartment, which is going to be this pair of legendary max Tac Mantis Blades. I believe this is the second way of acquiring them. So this is an upgraded version of that. It looks really awesome. It comes with a blue coloring as well as some max stack / NCPD specific writing. So if you want to combine this maybe with the max stack attire that you got from completing, for example, Judy's side story, you can totally just cosplay as Melissa Rory. And by the way, you can also defeat her when she comes to Jinguji if you want to get hers instead. But if you are past that point, this is the only other way to get them. Anyway, from this point on, you're going to just follow the mission as the usual. You're going to take down the max stack convoy. This is going to free Songbird, and eventually she is going to make her escape towards the Sinosure facility. You're going to follow her and eventually reach that and see the damage that she has done, but also the fact that she's more and more losing herself to the Black Wall. Now, in the lower sections of the Militech base, you're going to find 2 very important legendary items that are completely missable. So one of them in the first section is going to be right here in the maintenance room. You will need to activate the panel in the storage room right next to it to gain access at the door, open it, and get the Erebus recipe from inside. This is going to be one of the best SMGs that also applies quick hack to enemies. The second one is going to be located in the later section. Once you reach this area with the experimental prototyping room, you will need a code for it, which you can find in the observatory room right next to it. So at the computer right here at the edge, you can find it in one of these last on messages, or you can just immediately type 714212. This will open it up and will give you access to that Militech Kanto MK6 item that you can craft once you finish the main story. Now, I will say that this is one of my favorite missions from the entire storyline of Phantom Liberty. If you don't do this, you're missing out on one of the coolest cat and mouse kind of chase missions in the entire game. As you try to navigate this entire environment, you get chased by the Cerberus, which is completely unkillable by your own attacks. So it's by far the most menacing thing I've ever fought in terms of bosses in the entire Cyberpunk 2077. What's interesting is that this is the only way to find out more about her history, her past with the FIA, the first time she got recruited by Reed, the first time she gave an oath to Myers, and all the things that she has done to advance Myers' career, including the fact that she repeatedly accessed Blackwall, which in turn also caused her to slowly and steadily lose her mind to it and cause all these problems that yeah, it's kind of like very telling when you have to know more about the character and you only do so if you betray that character. And this is maybe going to make your decision in a second playthrough way easier when it comes to siding with her, even though she does have her own agenda and she's mostly only looking for her own interest. But it kind of gives you a bit of context of why she's doing everything that she's doing. I went with the other way around and I kind of ended up hating her. However, once going with this route, it kind of gives you a bit of closure to that. But towards the end of it, you're also gonna get to see the Cerberus taken down by Songbird. She eventually helps you, however, make absolutely sure that you grab the chip from inside of it. This is the one that you can later on decode during that Corosion mission once you finish the main story by going back at Yoko. This is the only way in which you can craft one of those two items, either the SMG or the Militech Kanto. There's no other way to do it, which is why siding with Mr. Hands and calling in favor with him was so important back then. But besides this, this also opens up two possible new endings, depending of course if you choose to help Songbird live or if you let her die. So if you choose to honor her request and let her die, this is going to open up the Kings of Cups ending, in which you helped Reed but then give Songbird to Myers, which I think is one of the best outcomes for her but not necessarily for you. In the end, Reed also makes his way to the location, but not before being too late. And from this point on, he kinda juggles between blaming himself for not being there sooner and before V, in the hopes that he could have convinced Songbird to continue living, but at the same time also somewhat blaming V for honoring her request, even though not full-on blaming for, well, taking her life. So this is kind of like a very interesting and emotional moment in which he's obviously confused, but still would have preferred a different outcome, even if that wasn't necessarily what Songbird wanted. And that's because he still very much cares about her despite her betrayals. On the other hand, Myers is even more upset than Reed, even though she handles it like a true politician, never displays any emotion. From your conversation with her, she obviously is very disappointed. So much so in fact that the help that she promised at the beginning is no longer going to be offered, so she's no longer going to help you remove your relic from your head. And even more so, she tells you at the end that you should be lucky that they don't charge you for the harm that you brought to the agency and the NUSA. So it kind of all ends there, and the conclusion, albeit bleak and yeah, not really like the best for V, it's not the worst either. There's one worse outcome than this, and that is by going on with full-on helping Songbird survive and giving her to Reed and as such to Myers. So this is going to open up the King of Pentacles ending, in which you help capture her alive and bring her back to the same undisclosed site. In this one, Reed is somewhat a bit happier than in the previous one, however still having his doubts because he knows what follows next. He knows that Myers is going to continue using her to access the Blackwall, to further advance her political career and gain even more power. And at least he has closure that she's still alive and can make decisions, or maybe make some other choices along the way, maybe even escape. I think that might come as a second thought to Reed at this point. However, in the later sections it becomes clear that that's not gonna be the case. However, there are some other differences here too. So one of them is that Myers is obviously going to be very pleased at V for bringing her alive. She even offers to give him or her a medal, which you can refuse. You can of course choose to have different dialogues with her, either more peacefully or very antagonistic. Whichever of these dialogues you pick, yeah, Myers will continue to honor her part of the agreement to help you remove your relic. And this is going to eventually bring you to yet the same place yet again with Reed, talking about what the future holds, the fact that he's going to likely accept a post at Langley and that he's going to become an FIA agent recruiter, which is not something that he really wants and kind of feels like a career downgrade. Nonetheless, at the end, you're gonna get another call from him in a couple more days, and this is going to bring you to that final mission, that conclusion during the Who Wants to Live Forever mission. So this is going to be again back at the top of the building of Mystis Esoterica, and this is where you're gonna have another conversation with Johnny. And if you don't have any other ending unlocked, you can go ahead and just pick this one instead, which is going to bring this transport AV that's going to bring you to that clinic to make the operation. Obviously, this also means that Johnny is going to completely go away. He's no longer going to be your partner as he's been for so long. And yeah, this is like one of the saddest endings in my opinion, and one that you might want the least of, because the outcomes are definitely not the best. One of them is the fact that 2 years have passed in which you kinda slipped into a coma following that relic removal operation. The immediate effect is that you're no longer going to be capable of having any other implants on your body due to the damages that the relic has done to your neurons. And on top of that, you will also find out that many of your friends kind of moved on with their lives, even though they initially tried contacting you. The only positive one is Judy here, which did get married in Pittsburgh. However, she does seem to be open to the idea of V visiting her and kind of keeping in contact. Panem, on the other hand, completely shut off, doesn't want to have anything to do with V, and even eventually somebody from the Aldecaldos mentions it that she no longer wants to even hear from him or her. Even more so, if you go to Victor's clinic, you will see that many things changed. In fact, many things around Night City have changed. One of which is that Arasaka seems to be kind of scaling down business and moving it somewhere else, while Militech is completely taking over the city, and you can even see like troops going on patrolling, so it's definitely not going really smoothly for Night City either. Once you reach Victor's clinic, you'll notice that Zeta Tech, a company, well, a corporation that has gained more and more ground in the past couple of years, now kind of sponsor him, and he kind of works for Zeta Tech. Which also opens up some very interesting, questionable things about Victor now being a corporate kind of rat. Not really that, he's just like a bootlicker for the Zeta Tech corpos, and he doesn't even like fight against corporations anymore. But probably the most gut-wrenching moment is when V realizes that nobody around Night City respects him anymore, even when name-dropping his affiliation to Padre. The realization that they are completely powerless to even take down a bunch of low-life criminals is definitely daunting. There is a moment in which Misty intervenes and she kind of tries showing V the half-full side of the glass, but even that doesn't work. I think that the ending scene is definitely telling, as you can see V completely losing themselves in the crowd of NPCs, sort of going back into obscurity, becoming a nobody, in a complete antithesis of everything he or she stood by up until then. So that's why a better outcome would have been to just honor Songbird's wishes and like just be done with it at that point. And kind of go with the Edge Runner sort of ending. Go guns blazing, do it until the end, and like just go up in flames like a true Night City legend. I think that would have been a much better outcome. Anyway, that's about it with the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.